Welcome to Journey, an epic ministry to encourage you in your walk with Christ. Hard times are a natural part of life. Let's look at Psalm 37, verses 1 through 7, and see what God's Word says about these things. And it's a little bit abbreviated, but let's read together. It says, "Do not fret or be worried or have fear. Trust in the Lord and do good. Delight yourself in the Lord, and He will give you the desires of your heart. Commit your way to the Lord. Trust in Him, and He will do this. Be still or rest before the Lord, and wait patiently for Him." What image comes to mind when you think of David, the king of Israel? Perhaps your mind goes to David as a young man. The first thing many people think of is David when he defeated Goliath. Maybe you also remember David playing the harp, how much King Saul liked to hear David play. Or when David was anointed as king, even as a young man, a very young shepherd boy, out in the fields, he was anointed as the new king of the land, even when Saul was still alive. Or maybe you think of David, the great king that never lost a battle, who was feared by all nations. 37 is written when David is a very old man. He's looking back over his life, and he tells us, do not fear. There's no reason to be afraid. He uses the word fret, which is a very old word, but basically means don't worry, don't be anxious, don't be afraid. Now, as we look at David's life, think about what he went through. Anointed as king as a very young man when there was already a king on the throne. He becomes the very best friend of King Saul. Jonathan is his best friend. And then King Saul is trying to kill David. David's best friend's father is chasing him down, trying to kill him. Then David runs into the wilderness, flees with a bunch of bandits, and until Saul finally dies, then David comes back and he becomes king of Judah, but not king of all of Israel. It's a divided kingdom that David has to deal with. Finally, the kingdom is united into one land of Israel. And you think, finally, there's got to be peace in David's life. He can say, don't fear. Well, no, now David has every kingdom around him. Every nation has a price on this king of Israel's head. If you bring me King David's head. Yet David writes, do not fear, do not fret. How could it be? I mean, we live in stress of life these days. We got financial stress. We got stress at the job, stress in our families. We got stress of the physical health, stress of the economy. There's so much hard stuff going on. Stress at school from mean people. How can we have this that David has? Is David just a nutcase to have all this stress and trials and difficulties and problems around him? And he writes to us as an old man as he looks back over his life, don't fret, don't be afraid, don't worry. What in the world is it about David's life that allows him to write this? Do not worry to us. Was he crazy? What was his issue? Let's take a moment and look at this bicycle wheel, something we all have experienced. Here we got a guy riding his bike. Well, not a good example. I don't remember the last time I rode my bike wearing my suit somewhere. Here's another example. Got a lady riding a bike. Well, no, that's not a good example. She's not wearing her helmet. Let me see. Here we go. Perfect example. Little girl riding her bike, got her helmet on. She pedals down the road. The wheel spins. It propels her down the road. She laughs. She has fun. She has a great time as she rides her bike. The basic tire on our bicycle has a tire, a rim, and has all the spokes that bear all the way to the bumps and the trials and the stress of the road. And it's all pushed into this hub. And at the very center of the hub is the key thing, is the axle of the bicycle wheel. That is what carries all the weight, the pressure, and the stress. So now let's get back to David. David is not nuts. It's simply the fact that the core center axle of David's life, everything in life that he rides on, is taken to the core axle of his relationship with his God. It doesn't matter what potholes, what bumps, it doesn't matter how much weight is on David's life, because he's not carrying it. He's transferring it to the axle of his life, which is his relationship with his God. What's stressing you today? Can you write about that one thing? I don't fear it. I'm not afraid. I'm not concerned. I'm not worried. And it's all because The axle, the key center point of your life is your relationship with God. Nothing else can bear the stress. Your finances will crash. Your health will crash. Your family can even fail you. But what will never fail is your God. That is why David said, do not fret. Don't be afraid. Don't worry. Because God was a key point, the axle of his life. I pray today you'll make the Lord the axle of your life. Let him bear all your stress, trials, difficulties, and struggles, and you will truly know what it means to not fret. Looking forward to share with you again as we journey on this epic ministry with Christ.